Very good morning, cadets. Today, let us continue the topic of chapter number 6, that is political parties. The last class I explained you the challenges to the democracy or challenges to the political party, that we completed the first point, that is lack of internal democracy. What is lack of internal democracy? There are several political parties in India where within the political party the election systems are not held, and within the political party the party is not allowing other than high command to become the party leaders. For example, the Indian National Congress. The Indian National Congress, the party presidents are generally from the Nehru family. So in this case, what happens, the political party, even though we claim it's a democratic setup, but within the party there is a lack of internal democracy. So when there is a lack of internal democracy, generally their party affiliation or interest towards the party from the lower cadre will be less. So this point we studied last class. We also studied about dynastic succession. What is called dynastic succession? We all studied in the history that Babur started Mughal dynasty, after that Akbar, Humayun, Shah Jahan. This is dynastic succession. But there is same way, there are some political parties where the party guard or from the leadership, from the top, then father to son, this system continues. Actually, this is not the feature of a democratic setup, because in a democratic setup there is a cadre-based party. Cadre-based party means an ordinary member of a political party should also reach to the post of party president. For example, in Bharatiya Janata Party, we can see present Prime Minister Narendra Modi was an ordinary member of Bharatiya Janata Party and reached to the stage of Prime Minister of the country. So in this political party, there is enough opportunity to an ordinary member also to reach the zenith or the highest post. So that's most of the political parties in India. The second challenge is the dynastic succession. Once the party tends towards this kind of system, then there will be a lack of transparency or lapse of procedural functions. In many political parties, the top position is always controlled by a member of the party or a family members. This is an unfair, because the other members of the party, they don't get any opportunity to occupy the same or the top position in the party. We also studied the third point, that is money and muscle power. In India, there are several states in India where elections are purely won with the power of muscle or power of money. During the elections, the political parties spend money or distribute money to the voters and they purchase the vote. This is purely against the system of democracy, because the money and muscle power definitely don't give any importance to the merit. So if you want a meritorious government or if you want a good governance, then definitely the meritorious leader should be in the power. If the meritorious leaders to be in the power, then quite naturally the people should elect the leader purely on the basis of merit. But unfortunately in India, many occasions we can see the money and muscle power play a greater role than the merit. Rich people and industrialists who give the funds to the party and they influence the policies of the decision. Once the industrialist donate money to the political party, so the same industrialist expects the government to make policy according to his choice or his benefit. So as a result, once the elections are over, the party or the government is literally run or controlled by the industrialist, because he is the person who donates money to the party fund. So this is also one of the challenges to the democracy. And another major challenge which we studied is lack of meaningful choice. Whenever we speak about choice, we should have a choice which is a meaningful choice. Take for example, if a tiger is chasing, you are end of the road and tiger is also there. You have got a choice, either you jump or face the tiger and die. This is not a meaningful choice. This is suicidal. So in India, what happens? We vote for a political party not because we are happy with that party, We are unhappy with another party. That's the reason we vote. So this is not a meaningful choice. Meaningful choice means ideologically there should be a good or a good point of difference between the political parties. Let us quote few examples. Sharad Pawar started a political party called NCP, that is Nationalist Congress Party. The main idea of Sharad Pawar's Nationalist Congress Party is not allow any non-Indian origin to become the Prime Minister, President or Vice President. Mainly his idea is to oppose Sonia Gandhi from becoming the Prime Minister of India. But once elections are over, same Sharad Pawar's party joined with the Congress. So now here you see, people voted Sharad Pawar with one faith, but once the elections are over, you can see the same party joined with the party which initially he opposed. So this is the problem in India, where we don't have a meaningful choice. So very often parties do not seem to offer a meaningful choice to the voters. In the recent days, there is a significant decline in the ideological difference among the political parties. So when there is a less ideological difference, such ideological difference is not good for the country. Let us move to the example of England. In England we have Labour Party and Conservative Party. Labour Party and Conservative Party in Britain have a very little difference. They agree on more fundamental aspects, but they differ only in the details how the policy to be framed and implemented. Sometimes people cannot even elect very different leaders, either because same set of leaders keep shifting the party, one party to another party. So it is very important, or it's a challenge to a political party. So what are the challenges we are facing? We are facing the challenge of dynastic succession. We are facing the challenge of lack of internal democracy. We are facing the challenge of money and muscle power. We are also facing the challenge of lack of meaningful choice. Okay, in this cartoon clearly explains that does that suggest democracy? People contest elections only to make money, but isn't true that there are politicians committed for well-being of the party? This question is, of course, generally asked. We cannot say 100% people are politicians are working for money. Very few handful of politicians may be there who are working for the welfare of the people. But in general, majority are working for the purpose of making money. This is a cartoon related to one party. You know, one party is ruled in communist China. One party system is there. Let us move to the final topic of the chapter. What is the final topic of the chapter is how political parties can be reformed. Cadets, you know very well, we cannot survive without political parties, because India is an example for representative democracy. When our country is an example for representative democracy, definitely we need political parties. So what we can do, only we can, or the Election Commission of India or the Government of India definitely take steps to reform the parties. Let us go through a few quick reforms which are followed in Indian system. The first system which was followed is anti-defection law. What we call anti-defection law? According to the anti-defection law, changing party allegiance from the party on which the person get elected. For example, an MP or MLA elected from the party of, let us take example of BJP. Once the elections are over, if he change the party, definitely he will lose his candidature. Means he has to contest once again election and win. That is what anti-defection law. So after the implementation of anti-defection law, now changing of party affiliation is reduced tremendously. Otherwise it was too much, because once the party is changed or once a MLA are elected, then there was a system where MLA change the party just for be in power always. So this is what we are speaking about, anti-defection law. So the constitution attended that a person who after the election cannot change his party, that is what we speak about, anti-defection law. There should not be also, now the law is made to control the internal affairs of the party. That means it is compulsory that political party should maintain a register of the members and also follow their own constitution. So every political party now compulsory should follow a log book or the register book, so that they can definitely note the party members and the donations which they receive from the various person or different people. Third one, it should be mandatory for political parties to give minimum number of tickets, about 1/3 to women candidates. Similarly, there should be a quota for women in the decision making bodies of the party. So it is mandatory now in India that every political party should give certain minimum number of tickets to women candidates. Also they should give quota for women in the decision making bodies. Third one, there should be state funding of election. What do you mean a state funding of election? Presently, the political parties spend their own money for elections, means for the election proceedings. What was the demand? Demand is there, instead of candidates spending money, government should spend money, so that government can spend money uniformly, in the sense, now national parties are there, regional parties are there, independent candidates are there. National party, since it is a huge party, they can spend more money than the independent candidates. So what is best? That there should be state funding of elections. The government should give parties money to support their elections expenses. This support could be in the kind of petrol, paper, telephone, etc. So, or it could be given in the cash on the basis of voters secured by the party in the last elections. Another important step which was taken by that, now every candidate should file affidavit. Affidavit is nothing but legal declared document. Meaning is given, a signed document submitted to an officer where a person makes sworn statement regarding his or her personal information. Now Supreme Court clearly says that every candidate who is contesting for election should give an affidavit. Affidavit should consist of the details about that person. Details in the sense, movable and immovable property. Property details, money details, saving bank account details, FD details, all those things should be given by a candidate who is contesting election. Once the candidate submitted an affidavit, that is open for a portal. That means any person can get that affidavit through RTI, that is Right to Information Act. In case if someone is able to prove that the person, whatever the submitted in affidavit is wrong, then his candidature will be removed. That is the power of an affidavit. So affidavit system is very good system in which the candidate self declare that whatever the details given by him is correct. And another important step taken by the government is, it is compulsory that every person who is contesting for election should give his income tax return details, so that once he furnished his income tax details, naturally the source of income can be traced very easily. Ordinary citizens, pressure groups, movement, media can comply important of this. If a political party feel they would lose the public support by not taking reforms, they would become more serious about their reforms. Second, the parties can improve if those who want to join the political party. The quality of democracy depends on degree of participation. It is difficult to reform politics if ordinary citizens do not take part in it and simply criticize from outside. The problem of bad politics can be solved by more and more better politics. We shall return to this in the final chapter. So what is the final conclusion we can draw in this chapter? That in India or in elsewhere, most of us, we are very happy in just blaming the government, saying that the government is not working. But as an active citizen, what is your role? What is an active citizen has to do? How much we are vigilant about the government? How much we are participating in the government proceedings? When we ask this question to us, most of us won't participate actively in the government proceedings. In the sense, we are not vigilant about the government policies. As and when we are not vigilant about the government policy, rather we simply criticize the bad governance, good governance. Naturally, this is not a system of politics. In the Western countries, we can see every person or every citizen is actively participating in government process. You may have come across recently in America, the one black journalist was killed. After that, a series of protest meetings were held in America. Even it was a big challenge to the present president of America to solve the problem. So political awareness is very important. As long as political awareness or people are aware about the party or people are aware about the functioning of the government, naturally there will be always good governance. So with this I completed chapter number 6, that is political parties. Let us quickly go through all the previous slides which I explained or displayed. Make a note of all those slides. Okay. In my next class, I post the videos related to question and answers to this chapter. Take care. Wish you a wonderful day. Thank you very much.